in the chat, she was saying,
Oh,
by
yes,
leaving
it's
this
saying-
meeting, okay, by
Jen-
staying in this meeting, your consent is to be live streamed. Okay, hold
Yeah.
on. It's saying we're live streamed. Do you guys see that?
Yes.
Yeah.
It says we're being live streamed.
So they're asking my permission.
Oh,
Yes,
so
they
for
did. They
getting
asked for mine.
permission,
Yeah. So
now we're going to go to YouTube. So if anybody is joining us live right now, if this is actually live, this is Mark and Stephanie, and this is Jen from Monarch. Hey, everybody. We are just hanging out, and we are practicing our, oh, guys,
yes.
it's us. I think it's working.
Yay!
Yay. So I have double screens going on right now.
Yeah.
And I'm trying my best to try to navigate between those things. And Stephanie's got a big day today, Mark. Have you seen online?
I know I'd be there if I could, but it's just the commute is reasonably long.
It's not a hop, skip, and a jump from us, is it, Mark?
No.
She's clear across the way.
Is she? Yeah.
Yeah. She's clear. I'm telling you, if I could get on a jet plane and just fly around to see everybody, it would just be like dream come true. But right now, that's not happening. But Stephanie, what's happening for you today?
Oh, I've got my my first official book signing today for Barnes and Nobles.
Yay! Congratulations. Yay. And so we're really looking forward to following you online, seeing all of the posts. Just know that because we're not there, that doesn't mean we're not there. Like we're really spooky there with you. Like we're like there in the aura. We're there in the atmosphere. We're all sending prayers out your way, Stephanie.
Absolutely.
So we're super excited. So Mark, Maggie is now out with art reviewers. Stephanie was like devouring Maggie. Like,
that was nice.
I know the whole Men in Black thing. I was sitting there on my couch reading, and I remarked to my husband, I said, "You know what? This book is so cool. It's like Men in Black for kids with girls."
Yeah.
I was just loving it and telling him about, there's creatures from another world, and they have to like put it back where they go, and that's where I made the connection. So
thank you, Stephanie. So you've seen I've used that a couple of times.
I know.
Yeah. So I really appreciate that because I never actually made that connection, but it's sometimes nice when you have something simple like that. And I know, Jen, you talk about the heart movie and the or book, and then when you have that means that people go, oh yeah, I can see that, and it can be so. So I really appreciate you making that connection because I've used it a lot.
So keep using it, Mark, because there is something about when you compare books to things that you love, you just start categorizing them in new ways in your brain.
Yeah.
And then it's something that we can say, hey, do you remember that feeling when we watched that movie for the first time?
Yeah.
Or when we read that book for the first time.
Yeah.
And of course, characterization, is changed. Mark's humor. Oh my gosh, Stephanie. Stephanie would be like laughing out loud.
Constantly. How do you say the Tealwith? That one character in Tag?
Twillith and Tag, yeah. Twillith and Tag.
Okay. My gosh, they just steal the show.
Yeah. It's so funny because when I was reading, because as I wrote the book, I read it to my daughters at the dinner table. So we'd read a chapter at a time. And one of the first drafts before I even sent it to Jen was Twillith and Ted turned out to be actually deceitful, that they weren't actually being misled, just innocent.
Naive and
naive and like children. They were actually being deceitful and they were evil. And both of my daughters looked at me and went, what the heck? You can't do that to Twillith and Tag. It's so wrong.
Back to the drawing board, huh, Mark? Like, let's scratch that idea out.
Yeah.
Let's appease the girls. We'll tell the girls that I thank them very much because.
Yeah.
Yes.
But you know what? There still was an uncertain, thing about them. You weren't sure if they were good or bad. There was the humor, so you liked them, but you're like, I don't know. They have an agenda.
Well, I think that's with the Fae. I think you don't know.
You don't know.
I think,
on your toes.
And actually, Twillith Teg is the Welsh name for the Fae. So I don't know if you know that. So Twillith Teg.
I did not. So, I just thought this was something just outright from Mark's crazy mind.
Welsh, but
no, it's so Twila Teg, it's when the Welsh in the Welsh language, that's the fairy, the fae. Yeah. Anyway.
Very good.
Yes. So, hey, Stephanie, how long are you going to be at Barnes and Noble for? How long is the gig?
For about 2 hours from 2 to 4. But I'm probably going to get there like a half hour early just to kind of set up my table and
nice.
Yep. And go then stand by the bookshelves and just walk through. There's just something about walking into a bookstore. Yeah. There is something about the peace and the joy and the smells and the sounds. I just love being in a bookstore and a library. Both of those, bookstores and libraries. So
when you keep talking about Barnes and Noble, we don't have Barnes and Noble in New Zealand. So it's going, who the heck's Barnes and Noble? I don't know who Barnes and Noble are.
They're like Twila Teg. They're like in the Fayland.
But they're an amazing bookstore, aren't they? They're like huge.
Yeah, I want to say they're probably the most recognizable bookstore chain in the United States. Probably, I don't even know if they have Powell's Books anymore. So that was another one that was kind of popular.
We used to have close to, I'm from a very small town. So when I say close to us, I mean 45 minutes. We had, okay, let me clarify. That sounded like hop, skip, jump. No.
Yeah.
We had Barnes and Nobles. We had Books A Million. So we had that one. Have you ever heard of that? Mm-hmm. So we had that chain for a while, and then that one went away. And Barnes and Noble stayed. And absolutely, I mean, I love any type of bookstore. I love thrift bookstores. I love small bookstores. We have a local one in town called Pauper's Books. And Mark, you would love it in there because they have like jokes all throughout the store. It's like amazing. They have signs everywhere. It's like so crowded with love of like the hilarious and fun around books that you just want to buy everything because you feel so good when you're in there. And that's how I am when I'm at any bookstore, though. You got to hold me back.
Yeah.
So what do you have, Mark?
What do I have?
At the bookstores around you? Like, do y'all have like chains? Like,
yeah, we have a quite a significant chain that you won't know, which is called Whitcoulls, which is owned by a family that own a whole lot of other department stores. And then we have kind of a stationary bookseller called Paper Plus. And then we were excited when we had Borders open. So Borders was an international.
I've heard of that one.
I've heard of that.
Yeah. But I don't think they really lasted because, we talk about New Zealand as a country, but there's only 5 million people in New Zealand. So I once had a student from China, and he was talking about can he take geography as in his last year of high school the last year of high school. And I said, you haven't done geography before though. I'm not sure you can. He goes, I did get a geography award in my region in China. And I went, oh yeah, okay, well, and that might be significant. How big was your region? And he went, 330 million people.
Like, oh yeah, that's a big deal. Okay. That's a big award. You can take geography.
Yeah.
You qualify.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So the scale. So we are small scale in New Zealand, but we certainly do well for who we are and what we do.
Yes, love it.
I was thinking, Stephanie, with your book signing, are you going to take your whole archery thing in? Are you going to go and set up?
I don't know if that would be considered weaponry in the middle of a store and they would kick her out from the beginning.
Alas, I will not be bringing my whole archery get up, but I am thinking of bringing my drawing of Rowan and setting that up. So
yes,
I do have that packed. So
when are you going to get a life-size version of Rowan?
Stand up.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, fold it down, and just take it wherever I go.
Like
your mom would say, "That's a really nice specimen." You can get your mom.
Oh my gosh, that line is making its way around. I have a friend who keeps just shouting it out, like, read the story, check out the specimen, Rowan.
I
I
love
love
the
it.
diversity from both of your books. Like, I love the Monarch collection. I love all of our Monarchs. We have Monarchs that are all over the place, time zones. They're super busy with family. I'm really happy that Mark and Stephanie could hop in to talk about books, but talk about the diversity in your books and the power of representation and what that really means for us as a company. Because I love it. You guys represent it. Talk about that, Mark.
Oh, okay. So me first. So it's quite, it's a little bit odd or ironic for me, I guess, that I'm a male writer, but it's all girl power. So my entire team is girls. Having said that, I mean, I'm used to, I've got 3 sisters and 2 daughters. So, you know, the only other boy that I've ever had in my life has been our little dog, Wilbur. So he's only 8 months of 18 months old. So he's the only other boy that I had. So to have an all-girl team was pretty cool. And within that team, I wanted to make sure that I represent a whole lot of ethnicities, because at my school, Ormiston Senior College, I'm in the minority. So there aren't actually many other European people in our school. So we have students from all around the world. So we have 1,000 students, and we have students from India, from Asia, from Persia, from, you know, I don't know if we've got any Americans, maybe 1 or 2, South Africa, African, you know, everywhere around the world we have kids. And I thought it was really important to represent that in the team or in the unit that I've got.
And that honors the students that you serve.
Yeah, yeah.
And you're honoring, so talk about honoring too, Michaela, with Maggie. That representation. Man, we've been getting some reviews. Oh, thank you for writing a character like this. And
it's another quite special or proud thing for me, is that I'm able to know my daughter well enough to be able to write a little bit what's in her head, and the things that she struggled with. So she was 6 months old when my wife Kimberly was feeding her some baby muesli, and she had started reacting, and my wife had that intuition going, it's an allergic reaction. We had no thought about allergies before that at all. And then we just rushed her to the doctor and found out this whole list. She has a high achiever, is Michaela, and she has a whole list of things that she's allergic to, and she's adding to them more and more and more. So to see her bravery and courage through life, like, she was never really invited out to other people's houses or to parties or anything like that, because parents would go, I don't know how to cater for this allergy. And whenever she's out somewhere, she's anxious and nervous about eating the wrong thing or touching the wrong thing and then setting off an allergic reaction, which could actually cause her to stop breathing. So in the midst of all that kind of challenge and struggle, she also was a big part of the Girl Guiding movement, and did all her Queen's Guide, and she runs camps for kids, and she's a Brownie leader, and she does all these things as well. Yeah, she actually just did a camp end of last year, year before, and it was for little brownies. So that's the 7-year-olds, 8-year-olds, and she dressed the whole camp. She was Artemis, the Greek god Artemis from Percy Jackson, and she stayed in character the whole weekend. And she had a bow and arrow, she had a thing like that. So just really got into it. So it's been wonderful to be able to write a character that's quite real, but then also put in a fantastical environment. So
right, and take her on a magical adventure that readers will not forget. And speaking of an adventure, Team Rowan, we got to talk about Stephanie's book, The Conjurer's Curse. It's been out since December. What a whirlwind since then, Stephanie.
Oh, it has been. It's been like a month already. Wow.
Yes.
I know. It's been wild and exciting, and it's been amazing to see reviews come in and people just falling in love with the story, falling in love with Rowan, loving the characters, and it's just been a real blast.
And representation as well, Stephanie.
Yes, because I've mentioned this before, that this is a story that takes place in an epic fantasy world that I had previously created. So when I'd first started building this world, I wanted it to be very diverse because like our world is diverse, and it's like, well, a fantasy world should be diverse too. So I'd already had certain kingdoms established by the time I started writing The Conjurer's Curse. And so what was fun is I decided to pick a character who I hadn't really explored his nationality or his race. And so I thought, let's pick a Chandrian, which is like an albino, and let's put him in a culture that is completely opposite to everything that is truly his homeland and culture. So that was like a jungle and, a tribal setting, and just how he kind of struggles with fitting in and not being accepted, and eventually has to go on an adventure to find where he truly belongs. And he meets people of different races, backgrounds, ethnicities, and they kind of help him or heed him as you read the story. So I just really wanted it to feel like a lush world with lots of different backgrounds.
And accents.
And accents. I have fun with that.
And what I got a message the other day. Someone just finished reading the book, and I haven't even had a chance to even tell Stephanie this. And they were like, I love Hal. Where's Hal? And I'm like, here's when you have this magic in an epic fantasy world where you've got tons of things going on, but there's these characters that you meet along the way that really can grab a reader and say, wait, there wasn't enough of that one.
I know.
And I'm like, I had that same feeling about Hal too. We talked to Stephanie.
I say, hold on, because I have an entire book dedicated to Hal. I hope will eventually get published in the future. So, this is The Conjurer's Curse is kind of like the intro to my epic world. So I'm glad that people are finding something special about Hal, because he is very special to me.
Yes. So
I really liked how it was set in that jungle setting at the start. I thought that was a really brilliant way of introducing it, and the prologue, you get straight into the world straight away, and you feel it, and and then you really sense for that character his feeling of isolation. Really hook people in with that. But I thought that was a great place to start, especially so different to his homeland.
Yes. As soon as Sam read Sam, my 15-year-old, you guys know he reads queries with me, and we have at-length conversations. And as soon as he read Stephanie's prologue, he said, I want this book. I'm like, let's slow down, baby. I want it too, but we got to read the whole book. But no, I want this book.
It's so interesting because a lot of, when I was querying my fantasy, a lot of agents were saying, we don't want prologues. But Stephanie, I love your prologue. I think it's just,
thank you.
It really sets, it draws you straight in. It gives you the sense of the character, and you get a sense of, something's happening here. It's not quite right. What's going on? Yeah. It's interesting.
That was a tough thing, because I read that so much that agents don't like prologues. But I said, every fantasy book I read has a prologue. So why do they get to do it?
Yeah.
And I understand the mechanic of, if you do a prologue, you have to set it. It has to feel like it's now, as opposed to a story that's within a story, I guess. So Haley helped me make it even better than I think when you probably read it, Jen. Yeah. But yes, I love it, because it definitely feels different, and it grounds you in the story. And then, it's just all these different settings that Rowan goes to, which was so fun to explore and describe. Yeah. And I love the jungle. I love Hawaii. I don't go there much, so it's like, oh, yay, the jungle. Yay. Let me just breathe this in.
Because I thought also Ashley's, The Impossible Girl, that prologue as well worked brilliantly.
Yeah.
And that was set, 13 years earlier. But it was such a way to entice readers into a story, by going, oh wow, and you want to know. So it's interesting. I'm a big fan of the Wheel of Time series. I don't know if you've read the Wheel of Time series.
I've read the first 5 or 6 books.
Okay.
So once my favorite character was no longer in the story for a bit, I'm like, checking out.
Well, that is the most multiple point of view book I've read, and it's the descriptive writing is unbelievable. Yes. And the fact that Robert Jordan, wrote them, but then he unfortunately passed away and still hadn't finished his story, and then gave it to Brandon Sanderson. Brandon, write one book to wrap up the entire series. I know it's been 11 books, but write one book. And Brandon writes 3 books because you can't tie it up. But his prologue and the very first book is set like thousands of years in the past, and it's incredible. You know, so I like prologues.
I
do too. I like them too. And Landis has a prologue, and you guys have not read Landis yet, and that's our Shelly Mack.
I got a bait to read it.
That's right, Stephanie.
I did.
But Stephanie, I mean, we're really working. We're working hard. We're editing today. We're working. So Landis is in full developmental rounds.
Wonderful.
So yeah, Mark. The thing is, we honor our stories, right?
Yeah.
As they come.
Yeah, absolutely.
Prologue or not.
Yeah. I've got an epilogue in Maggie.
Yes.
You do. I like epilogues too.
And you can't let it be. You have to have it there, because that one gives away the things that you need to get you going, what? To the next, right?
Yeah.
So when you have it, honoring your story is important.
And that helped tie up a couple of possible loose ends that go, how did that actually happen? Why was actually Maggie actually invited to this this elite group? And then I had some fun with my prologue for the second book.
You had fun. I think you have fun with all of your writing, Mark. That's what I think.
Yeah.
Jen, I have to take off, and
we're gonna say goodbye to Stephanie. I wanted us to just get on talk books. Wish you the best of luck today. We're going to be following you. Mark, thank you so much for hopping on. I'm so glad I could see and hear you this time, because our party last Sunday, Mark was a blank screen for me. And I'm just so thankful that we had Zoom to work. I hope that you guys can join us again for our future events. We've got She's Still Here coming up with Caitlin Alexander. Super excited about that. And that's when we'll be announcing more about Mark's Disney party. Just so you guys will know. Oh, Stephanie's like,
I'm super excited. Can I dress up as Belle?
I think Stephanie already knows what her costume might be. But I love you guys. I hope you have a wonderful day. Stephanie, message me. Message.
Yes.
Okay. All right, guys. Have a great day.